Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to another video where I help you heal after toxic relationships. My name is Denise Dominguez, and I help strong women coming out of toxic partnerships and move them past frustration, doubt, and fear to confidently move into new and healthy relationships. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 keys to healing. That is the secret. Once you're past that relationship, you want to heal. And there's 3 main keys to healing, and that's what I'm going to share with you on this video. Okay. This is something that I have applied to my own life, and it changed everything. Everything. So remember, smash that like button if you like the value provided for you, and I'd love to hear from you. So comment in the comments below. Let me hear your voice. Let me know what you think. What other topics would you like me to talk about around toxic relationships and how to heal from them? And always please remember to subscribe to my channel. It gives me great pleasure and immense gratitude when you do that. Okay, let's jump into it. So this is something that I learned like fairly early on in my coaching career. Once I started to really like dive deep into my own healing, I had to figure out how screwed up I was. Once I figured out how screwed up I was, and how I got that way, it changed everything for me, because then I was able to dive into these 3 keys that I'm going to share with you. So these 3 keys come from the book, The Mastery of Love. If you don't know about that book, please go on Amazon and get that book. It is like a Bible to me. It really chunks down into bite-sized pieces like the whole thing about relationships. So the relationship that we have with ourselves, and then the relationships that we have with other people. So that's where these 3 keys to healing, actually where I got them from. And then I added a 4th. So I'm going to give you 4 in this video. Okay. So the first one is self-love, right? Because how can you love yourself? How can you expect somebody else to love and adore you if you don't love and adore yourself? Think about that for a second. How can you expect to have healthy relationships with other people if you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself? Everything begins, you've heard me say this before, everything begins and ends with you. So the first person that you need to focus on, the first person that you need to heal, the first person that you need to take a look into is you. And once you do that, once you start learning to love all of the whole thing about you, the whole gamma. Here's the thing about self-love. We are so quick to announce on Facebook or show off this or show off that about ourselves, for the things that we are willing to show, right? But the parts of us that we don't like, or that we don't, that we have shame around, that we don't feel we're proud of, those are the parts of us that we hide, and that we don't announce that on social media. But the thing about self-love is you have to love all of you, the whole thing. So this is how I explain it to my clients. I want you to think of yourself as an apple pie, okay? And with an apple pie, you have all of these ingredients that go into this apple pie. You have a certain amount of apples chopped up. You have a certain amount of the pie crust. You have a certain amount of sugar. You have a certain amount of cinnamon. You have a certain, all of it is completely, perfectly measured, right? Now, if you take out one ingredient, okay, what's going to happen to the pie? it's either going to taste like shit or it's not even going to bake correctly. It'll fold in, right? And this is us. This is us. We are this beautiful, perfect apple pie, but when we don't love all of ourselves, all of the pieces, even the parts that we feel ashamed of, we feel guilty over, all of those pieces, then we don't feel whole and complete, even though we are. So the key to you having complete self-love is you loving all of the pieces of you, even the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? And so how do you do that? You start to get comfortable with being vulnerable with yourself. You start to write down the parts that you are ashamed of, or maybe you haven't faced yet, things that maybe something that happened to you 10, 12, 20 years ago that you never were able to face. Maybe now is the time for you to face that story, that experience, and move through it in a healthy way so that you can get past it, right? Because it's like a blocked energy inside of you. It's holding you back from having these healthy relationships with other people if you're not having a healthy relationship with you. So that's the first one. Self-love. You have to love yourself, all of yourself, the whole thing, okay? The good, the bad, and the ugly. The second piece to this is truth. The truth about you, the truth about your experiences, the truth about your life, the truth about your family. You have to get really super comfortable about truth. Here's the thing about truth. We were taught and grown up and shown to lie and to hide the truth. Shh, don't let neighbors, no, we don't want them to know this. Don't let Sally. Now, when we go to this holiday, Christmas family gathering, we're not going to talk about X, Y, and Z, okay? You don't say that. And so we grow up with this, we can't talk about that because we didn't know this at the time we were kids, but we can't talk about it because we're embarrassed about it. We're ashamed about it. So we grow up in this behavior and we pick up this behavior. So things about ourselves that are the truth that we don't even face with ourselves, we don't, again, on social media, we don't talk about that stuff, right? We only show the shiny new car or the beautiful, amazing new partner or the awesome 6-figure job that I just got. We don't talk about all these things on social media. I mean, unless you're so desperate to reach out for attention, I've seen that in those people. So truth is the second one to healing. You have to get comfortable with your truth. The first time when I got comfortable with my truth was my mentor was like, Denise, you have to talk about this with other people in order for you to be able to help other people. And it was about my story of being in a toxic relationship for 22 years, my story of the traumas and the dramas that I went through. And I didn't want to go there. It was too painful. It was too hurtful. I couldn't even utter a sentence without doing the ugly cry, as Oprah says, right? Just bawling and bawling and bawling. So it was easier just not to go there. It was easier to avoid telling that story or even thinking about that story because of all of the hurt and pain that was in it. But there came a time for me in my story where I got into this amazing coaching world, and my mentor was like, no, you have to get past this. You have to work through it. So that led me to sharing my story with her over an email. And even in doing that, which may seem like I wasn't speaking it, I wasn't announcing it to the world, but even doing that, just typing it in an email was so scary. And I remember my fingers were shaking as I was typing away in this email and sharing my story because I had so much shame around it, so much guilt, so much blame, all these lower vibrational emotions, these disempowering emotions that I had around this story, and sharing it with somebody else, even though she was my mentor, it was just filled with all of that. And of course, the pain and the hurt and all of that. So, but here's the good thing. So once I shared my story, it was like I was releasing my emotional poison. It felt good. It was like detoxifying. It was like throwing up all the toxins out of my body. I did that and I felt so much better. I was like, okay. And then every time I would speak about my story, it got easier and easier and easier and easier. And then I wrote a book about it. I wrote a book about my story of and I even say in the book, like, there was a time when I couldn't even utter these words, even in a typing, without going into the ugly cry and just really feeling so ashamed of myself and so much hurt, what I put my kids through and all of that. So truth is the second one of the 3 keys to healing. Truth. You have to get comfortable with your truth. You have to tell your truth to yourself. You have to be able to tell your truth to other people and not worry about what they think, because that's none of your business what they think. And also remember, that's their opinion of your truth. You have to get comfortable with telling your truth. Okay? Number 3, this is a big one. And I know you've heard this over and over again. Forgiveness. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to forgive the people who have done injustices to you. You've got to forgive the stories, the experiences that you've been through, the mistakes that you've made, the things that you should have done, that you did, that you could have, that you didn't, all of it. You have to forgive yourself for all of it. You have to let it go. And part of letting go is forgiving yourself for the crap. You didn't know any better. You did the best you could. Whatever the story is, it's healthy and it's healing for you to forgive yourself. So one of the ways that you can forgive yourself is just that, right? You can tell your story, even if it's to yourself. You can write it down, and you can release whatever comes up. So if it's crying, if it's anger, if it's even like you detoxify and you get sick, whatever it is, release that and be kind to yourself. So part of forgiving yourself is so we can do this. So part of forgiving yourself is you could do this. You can close your eyes and you can visualize yourself as that little girl, that little boy, the age you were when you went through this experience that comes up that you need to forgive yourself or forgive somebody else for. Okay. And as your adult self, who you are now, you can visualize that little girl, that little boy, and you can have a conversation with that little girl, that little boy. And you can say something like, I know you feel really sad right now and you have a lot of pain around this story. But it's, I'm going to shorten the version. It's time for us to let this go. Okay. And in your visualizations, you can be caressing her hair or his hair, or, just holding their face gently. You can do these things as if you were talking to your own child or to a little girl or a little boy. You would be super compassionate for them, right? You would be super gentle, and you would be, have a softer voice, and you would even lean down to them and just let them know that they're safe and they're okay. And in this conversation, through your visualization, you can tell them that it's okay to let this go. We forgive you. I forgive you, right? Or if you're talking about an experience you had, you can go there and just let it go and forgive. You can write it down. You can write this down if this feels better for you. Whatever feels good for you, do that. It's a matter of you just facing it and just being willing and open to letting go and forgiving. If if saying I forgive you, if maybe we're talking about somebody, not necessarily you or you, but if saying I forgive you is right now too much and you can't handle that, that's okay. You can start off with, I'm willing to forgive you. Because here's what I want you to know about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about you giving permission to the other person and excusing their behavior. It is not about that at all. This is, and also I want you to know, when you forgive somebody, this doesn't mean let them back in your life. The person who treated you like crap or did something bad to you. This is not, okay, I forgive you. Now you can come back in my life and everything's fine. No, you still do a no contact with that person. You still continue to separate yourself from that person. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is you releasing yourself out of the internal prison. That's what forgiveness is. It's not about letting that other person, giving them permission. You're an asshole and you treated me like shit and that's okay. It's not about, I forgive you and now let's make amends and start a new relationship again. No. Forgiveness is for you and only you. So when you write this letter, this is for you only. When you visualize this scenario of forgiveness, this is for you only. So, but it's a huge component in healing after anything, but I focus on the toxic relationship. So forgiveness is number 3. And these are the 3 keys to healing in the mastery of love that I shared with you. These are the 3 keys to healing. And these 3 keys to healing are taught to us by our great masters. So Jesus Christ, Buddha, Krishna, all of these great masters have shown us that over and over again that with doing these 3 keys, it brings healing to you. Okay, so the number 4 key that I implement into this lesson, whatever you want to call it, is, excuse me, every time I talk like this, my nose runs, is trust. Trust. That's a huge, huge thing that none of us do, right? I don't trust you. I don't trust that. I don't trust this. I don't trust that, because our world, our society is always showing us the bad things that happen, the liars, all of this. Here's what I can tell you about trust. It's a huge component in healing. You have to trust yourself. You have to be able to trust others. Everything, again, begins and ends with right here, you. So once you can trust yourself, then you will be able to trust others. This is not external, internal. This is internal, external. The way you trust others is first you trust yourself. So for example, you go into a networking meeting, let's say, for example, or any kind of a meeting where you're going to meet new people. And you meet somebody and they're super nice, right? And you're having a conversation with them and something's off about this person. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know. You're thinking to yourself, I don't know what it is. I don't like this person. But they're being super nice and, they haven't done anything wrong. So what happens is your mind, your ego will go into, well, they haven't done anything wrong. You have no reason not to trust them. So I'll just ignore my gut feeling. I'll just ignore what my body is telling me, and I'll continue to, have this conversation or now build a relationship with this person and trust this person. You can also obviously use this for dating, right? But here's what happens. Your body's always telling you the truth. So if in the beginning when you meet somebody and your body was telling you, something's off, and you ignored that feeling, that intuition, that gut, later on down the line, you will figure out why that happened, why your body was telling you that. And most often what happens is we ignore that. And that's how we get into these ugly, situations later on down the line. And let me just tie trust back to when we were kids. Let me give you an example of why we don't trust ourselves. It's because, oh look, my pen and my jacket match. Can you tell it's my favorite color? I was on the phone with a woman, and I don't want to go too long, but I'm already going 20 minutes. But if you like this, smash that like button. If you like this information that I'm giving you, if you want more of these videos, please hit subscribe to my channel, and you will be able to, if you want the notifications, you hit the bell icon. But it would mean the world to me if you hit the like button, if you subscribed, and also please comment in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Okay, so let's get back to trust. Trust. I was on the phone with a woman, and she had a huge aha moment while we were speaking. And that aha moment was, she was with her 4-year-old little boy, and he was good in school that week, and they were at the store, and she wanted to reward him for being so good, right? Like a good mom does. So they get to the cash register, and there's all these, the cash register, they have like tons of candies and options and stuff. So she says to him, "You're so good this week. I want to buy you a little present. So pick out your favorite lollipop." Okay. So with the lollipops, there was all these flavors. There was apple, grape, strawberry, watermelon, bubblegum. And 4 years old, we know what we want. Okay. We don't question ourselves at 4 years old. 4 years old, we know. We don't go into doubt. Okay. That's later on. So at 4 years old, he picks up the grape, and he's like, "Let's go. I'm ready. Let's go, Mom." He's excited. He's got his grape lollipop. He's ready to go. And so what does Mom do? Mom says, now, before I say this, no shame and no blame to any of our parents. Mom was only setting out to give him the best, right? But here's what happens. Mom says, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want grape?" She picks up the strawberry, and she goes, "You really love strawberry. That's one of your favorite flavors. Oh, and what about bubblegum? You love bubblegum." And so what happens is a seed of doubt was planted in the 4-year-old's head. And because he trusts Mom, and that's his mother, he puts the grape down, and he picks up the strawberry. And so he walks out of the store with the flavor Mom wanted, not him. Okay? This is how trust, the seeds of doubt, are planted in our heads at a very young age, and it continues to happen over and over and over and over again. Again, Mom didn't mean to do this to him. And that's the aha moment that she had on the call. She was like, "Holy crap. It just came to me. I do this to my son," right? I don't let him have his own choices. I don't allow him to be who he is. This is what our parents did to us. So when it comes to trust, and also there's other scenarios where our parents had to teach us, don't go with the creepy guy with the puppy, don't talk to strangers, don't get coerced into, "Oh, I have candy, come over here, let me know," and all those things. I get that. And there's a distinction between, because when we're so young, we're so trusting. So here's the other thing. As I close this up, I wanted to share this with you. When you were born, okay, you were born this loving, truthful, trusting, forgiving person. That's who you are to your core. But as we grow up in our society and through Mom and Dad's experiences, or whoever raised us, we were shown to criticize and judge ourselves, opposite of self-love. We were shown to lie and hide our truth. We were shown to hold grudges and not forgive others and ourselves. And we were shown not to trust. These are the 4 components to healing. But these are also the 4 components of who you truly are. This is who you are. You are the loving, forgiving, truthful, trustful person. So in conclusion, what I teach my clients and what I teach my audience is how to unravel all of these layers of muck and get back to who you really are. Get back to that loving, forgiving, truthful, and trustful person. And you can do this. You can peel back these layers to get to that trusting person, to love yourself again. Okay. Heal these old stories that were told to you that you believed and all of that. It's totally doable. And again, this is something that I applied into my life, and it's changed everything for me in my relationships with myself and with the people around me. So in the description below, I will post the Mastery of Love book. And also, I'm going to give to you a webinar that I did on these 4 components of healing. So I'll put that webinar link in the description below, where I dive really deep into all of these trust, forgiveness, truth, and self-love for you. Okay, that's my gift to you. And smash that like button if you like this video. If you want to hear more of my videos, subscribe and hit the bell button, the bell icon. That way you'll get the notifications. And please, I'd love to hear from you. So comment. Let me hear from you in the comments below. All right. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.